Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, it's a very good start to the season for the Edmonton Oilers, and it's the kind of start, where you get off in the first 5 games to victories that cover up for. People can start to lose their mind early in the season over this, that, and the other thing. And it just gives a little cushion to this whole team going forward, to any players who might be having a slump right now or anything going wrong. It's made right to a certain degree. So I like that about this, as well as I just love it when the Oilers win. They won 5-3 over the Vegas Golden Knights, who were down four pretty key players. They were down Martinez, Stone, Pacioretty, and
Tuck.
Who?
Tuck.
Oh, that guy's a load. Yeah, they were. These are 3 top 6 forwards and top pairing defensemen or top 4D. So that's a big blow to that team. Bruce, the grade A chances were 18-15 for the Oilers in the game. So it was kind of a hockey game that turned into a track meet. Up and down the ice, lots of action in that game. It was a very, very entertaining hockey game.
I'll say.
2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. We'll go with 2 good things each. What's your first good thing?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to Edmonton Oilers head coach Dave Tippett. And Tippett takes lots of grief around oil country. People that disagree with this decision or that or the other or all of them. But I thought he did a lot right here. I thought that his and a couple days ago, as soon as Mike Smith was hurt, I thought Koskin's going to play both games, and it's probably the right thing to do. 2 years ago when Tippett started out as the Oilers head coach, he gave Mike Smith the first 2 starts of the season. He won them both. Then he went to Mikko Koskin, and he got the second 2 starts. He won them both. Real good games by him on the road. And the Oilers wound up jumping out of the gate 5-0, and they cruised into the playoffs that year. And it was the hot start right at the beginning of the year was part of it. And so this year, Smith got the first 3 starts, but he came out halfway through game 3. But there was really no reason, I don't think, for Tippett to deviate from this idea of giving one guy the load for a while, then going to the other one. And even though they were back-to-back, and there's a certain hard law out there in some faiths that thou shalt never start thine backup netminder in back-to-back, or thine same netminder in consecutive games seems to be the rule. But Mikko Koskinen was well rested. He was sharp. He played well, and when he finally got back into the net after a very good training camp, and it was a big game, and there was no reason to take him out, and it turned out to be the right decision. Mikko had another strong game tonight, fought through a lot of stuff, took a few hard shots, had a lot of traffic, faced 39 shots and a ton of zone pressure, and he stood tall, as Mikko is wont to do. So that was one thing. I really liked his wholesale lineup changes. Such as were available to him to get all 3 guys who didn't play last night into the team tonight and playing a role, and each, I think, did contribute to Edmonton's win. Those being Chris Russell, Colton Sevier, Tyler Benson, who got into the lineup. And I just thought the timing was good. And I talked about this a little bit on the TV too, but they were saying what I was already thinking. You're going to stay in Vegas for a couple of days now. You're going to celebrate 5-0, and you're going to celebrate it as a team. And you know what? Every single guy that's there is part of the team and has contributed. Even Stuart Skinner, the one guy who didn't start the season with the team and got called up, but he did play a role. And all the other guys played one of the last 2 games where they went 2-0 on this short Midwestern road trip. So I just thought he played it right from a team building perspective. The coach did, and as a human resources matter. And I keep pounding on this, but I think it's really important that he should have his team, I think, tight already. And there's it sounds like they are, looks like they are. And this business of getting each guy involved and contributing, that fourth line with Sevier, Benson, they had a shift tonight with 3 or 4 minutes left and a 1-goal lead. Like, it wasn't like they were locked to the bench for the whole third period. They weren't. They didn't play a huge amount, but they played and they helped. So I just think he did a few things right, and this idea that he had of splitting up the Draisaitl and McDavid from each other on the road trip paid dividends, and especially tonight. So
Yeah,
kudos to Dave Tippett. We're going to rip you when you make mistakes, but turnaround's fair play. When you do it right, well, you're going to get credit, at least from me.
yeah, I agree with all your points. Well said. My first good thing will be Duncan Keith's uh, play on the game-winning goal. And Duncan Keith had a pretty rough night on defense, and we're going to get to that later. But on that particular play, Bruce, that was a Hall of Fame Duncan Keith moment. That was that just it reminded me so much of Nicholas Lidstrom, another defenseman who did that constantly, would pick off a pass in the neutral zone and immediately get the puck going in the other direction. So that's what Keith did on this play. He picked off. He's at his own blue line. He steps up to pick off the pass. He reads the play completely, picks off the pass, and in the same motion, puts a perfectly timed pass ahead, leading Zach Kassian and breaking Zach Kassian for a breakaway and the winning goal. It was a fantastic hockey IQ play and a fantastic physical play too, because to execute that pass that's not an easy thing. You have to have incredible hand-eye coordination and ability to do that. So not a perfect, probably Duncan Keith's worst game so far of the 5 that he's played for the Oilers. I'm guessing the game grades will reflect that. But what a play. What an amazing play that was. And may there be many more.
Yeah, he salvaged his game grade with that one play. He was a little bit in the red at that point, and I mean, it was the key play on the game-winning goal. I mean, he helped in the end, helped the team win the game, even as he'd had his struggles, as you say, on the defensive side of the puck earlier. But yeah, that was sweet. The pass couldn't have been better. It's just one touch, and he's whipped it right across the ice. Kassian broke behind the guy that had made the poor pass for Vegas, Nicholas Haig, that had just tied the game minutes earlier on a mistake by Kassian. This time it was Kassian who got behind Haig and walked in and made a pretty nifty move to deke Robin Leonard and tuck it through the 5-hole from the backhand side to reestablish the lead for the Oilers, and ultimately the lead that held up even as there was plenty of tension down the stretch.
Lot of tension, not a lot of grade A chances for
Yeah,
Vegas though. Lots
yeah.
of buzzing around the net and close calls, but the puck was kind of slippery for them. They couldn't quite get off that great shot that they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, what is your second good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with. I'm tempted to do the same thing as last night and rave about the special teams, which had a really good night. But I am instead going to go to the 5-on-5 play, and in particular the 2 consecutive 5-on-5 goals by the two big lines that they deployed in sequence on the road. With first of all McDavid setting up Zach Hyman for a laser from the slot right in the top corner. This after Hyman had made a pretty good rush to gain the zone and sort of put Vegas under pressure. And then McDavid took advantage of the chaos, and Puljujarvi took advantage of the chaos to, first of all, chip the puck to McDavid and then get back out in front of the net and in the way and get his big body where it do the most good. And McDavid slipped it out to Hyman between the circles and boom, right in the top corner. Great shot. So that's 2-2. And then just, I think it was 72 seconds later, the other big line with Yamamoto, Nugent-Hopkins, and Draisaitl got some pressure on. And there was an outside shot and a little bit of a sloppy rebound from Leonard. And Pietrangelo couldn't really handle it. And Nuge swooped in and found the puck in the slot and immediately slid it over to Draisaitl in his favorite spot, bottom of the right circle, and he banged it home. And just like that, it went from 2-1 Vegas with really the Golden Knights in the ascendant to 3-2 Oilers. And Vegas spent most of the rest of the game chasing. That was a real turning point in the game, and it was the two lines in sequence this time. First McDavid, then Draisaitl, each lighting the lamp and turning a deficit into a lead. And it was a huge turning point in the game.
Yeah. I was trying to think of who Hyman reminded me of that shot. I was thinking Mike Bossy, but it wasn't quite a Mike Bossy goal because Bossy would wrist it in. It was more like a Brett Hull where you get in that sweet
Whatever.
spot. You get in that sweet spot, and did he ever kill that puck? Did he ever drain it? This is too much to hope for. He's 2 games in a row where he is, this he's putting a top shelf where Mama keeps the cookies here. And it's not going to continue. Like, I can't imagine he's going to keep sniping like this, but this is this is really sweet.
4 goals on the road trip for Hyman.
Yeah, like if he stays healthy, he's a tremendous hockey player. And I can see why he should be on the Olympic team. Like, this guy's a solid 2-way hockey player, does so much right, physical player, and can really make plays. I mean, I was hoping he'd be good. I never thought he'd be this good, honestly. Like even when he played so well against Edmonton last year, he really stood out in those games. I thought, oh, this is a very good hockey player, but this is kind of next level stuff. The offensive plays he's doing, and he was playing with very good offensive players in Toronto as well.
Right.
But maybe I just didn't notice it, or maybe he's just getting lucky here. But these are some pretty sweet snipes.
He got a little lucky on that first goal, but he got lucky. He made his own luck to the point that he got down and dirty where the action was.
Yeah.
And went right into the blue paint after the puck, and it hit a couple of skates and hit his skate. And I think it hit William Karlsson's skate when it was over the goal line by about 2 inches. And that was the furthest thing from a pretty goal. But there was some good work on the play to get the puck into such a dangerous position. And because Hyman was working his butt off in a place where he could do some damage, it wound up being a goal. And so credit, 2 very different kind of goals for him. One an absolute hard work grunt goal, and the other one a wicked snipe.
The grunt goal is the kind of goal I expected from Hyman, right? Yes. Like that's exactly what I thought we'd get, but I wasn't expecting these other goals. Maybe he scored a lot of goals like that in Toronto. I don't know. Bruce, my second good thing is the power play. The Oilers had 18 grade A chances, as I mentioned earlier. 9 of them came on the power play, 8 of those in a sequence in the second period that lasted about 3 minutes or so, where they just were peppering, absolutely peppering the Robin Leonard with shots. I mean, Draisaitl with a great shot. Draisaitl with a one-timer. Draisaitl with a one-timer. David with a one-timer. Draisaitl with a one-timer. Hyman with a jam play at the net. So it was quite an incredible. Let me just see if I got them all there. I might have missed a couple there. Yeah,
one of them. McDavid had the open side, and he rang it off the very inside of the goalpost, went right across the goal line and out the other side. It was like a millimeter from being a goal. That would have made it 4-2, and it would have been big. But somehow Leonard survived that power play. But while it was going on, and I mean, it was such a lengthy sequence of the Oilers completely dominating the puck and skating rings around the zone and making these little flip passes back and forth and behind the back passes, but all set plays. They know where they are. They know where other guys are going to do. I mean, Nuge does this behind the back pass to the point all the time, and it's very, very effective. And I was saying to Anna that, they should start playing Sweet Georgia Brown here. It's like the Globetrotters out there, when Curly Neal gets the ball and he starts dribbling around and nobody knows how to stop the guy. And it was, but the whole team was just cycle. And, about every 10 seconds, dangerous shot on net. And it's not like they're just wasting away the clock on the perimeter. They're creating constantly. It's fabulous to watch.
I was reminded of the comment you made. I think you've made it a couple times previously that this power play will get better in the next little while as these guys get more familiar with each other. And other people have made the same comment, but like you reinforced that. And it reminded me, you mentioned just Nuge's behind the back pass. Last year, that was out of sync. He was hitting Clefbaum every time with that.
Right.
The previous year. But it took him and Barry. They really never got truly in sync last year on that Nuge's. He does that behind the back pass constantly, and it was always just a little bit off because Barry wasn't quite where he thought he was going to be. But this year, it's just he just snaps it, and it's right on Barry's stick. And there's just so many different tricky little plays and options. The other teams don't know what to do. There was that one play, the Draisaitl got off, of course, his executioner shot quite a bit, but he also did and we haven't come up with a name for this one yet, but where he takes the puck in the high slot on his backhand, he sets up on his backhand,
Right.
takes the puck, and then he slips it to his forehand and
Mm-hmm.
drills it on net, which is a very tricky and dangerous shot to take. It's kind of this no look.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of setting up in the high post like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and going in for the sky hook.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
that's right. It's very much like that. Like, it's coming, and how can you stop it when he sets it up the right way? You got to go right through Draisaitl to get to the puck, and there ain't no going straight through Leon Draisaitl. It just isn't going to happen. He's like a great big cypress tree or something in the slot. Like, good luck getting through him when you're on one side and the puck's on the other side. That puck might as well be on the moon. You're not going to get it unless he gives it to you.
I'm glad Tyson Berry's out there for this too, because he's struggling he's really struggling defensively. And I'm
Ooh.
glad he's having some success. Like hopefully this will help him get through this really rough patch in his own zone. Like he's really not making good reads, or he's getting eaten alive even on the third pairing. So, but he is part of this power play success genuinely, and he makes really good decisions. I like Tyson Berry out there. I think he's a fabulous power play guy. All right, Bruce, let's move on to our bad things.
Yeah, I'm going to point the finger a little bit at the third line tonight for their defensive play. They got burned for 2 goals against, and the forwards were significantly at fault on them. One came uh, early in the second period when Ryan lost the face-off, and uh, Fogel didn't get out to the point shot, and it got tipped, and Ryan allowed the shot tip in front. And then there was the one in the third period that we officially graded a grade B chance, um, where Nicholas Haig fired. It was like 100-mile-an-hour fastball that he just blew past Koskinen from. It was a long ways out, but it was an absolute cannon from the middle of the slot with nobody around him. And nobody was around him because of a number of things that went wrong. First of all, Zach Kassian icing the puck when he really didn't need to. Derek Ryan losing another draw in the defensive zone. And Cassian got tied up. And Fogel, like he was shading to the point man on his side, but when the puck went to Haig in the middle of the ice with nobody around, I thought Fogel really needed to sell out there and identify that, the guy in the middle of the ice is a lot more problem than the guy near the boards. And he didn't. And so, just basically a collection of small mistakes. But when you get a string of them where 2, 3 players, even if they're forwards, make mistakes on the same play, a chance can result. And sometimes that chance will wind up in the back of the net. So I like the line overall, and they redeemed themselves by scoring the winning goal. But they need to pick up the defensive play a little better than it was tonight. And the possession numbers kind of support that they spent too much time in their own zone.
Cassian took a really stupid penalty too, in the third period there. That was ridiculous. Like, what was he thinking? Hooking the guy. So, I mean, I think it was Fogel who might have got the breakaway anyway, but like,
It was
geez,
very marginal, but it was not. He just
it
didn't
was a
need to do
penalty.
that.
It was a
Didn't need
penalty.
to do that.
Yeah.
He just kind of stuck his stick where it didn't belong, and he got caught. So yeah.
My bad thing tonight was Duncan Keith's defense. We hadn't seen there was real concerns about his defense coming into the year. Reports out of Chicago that he had slipped, and I hadn't seen it so much in the first 4 games, but he did have some troubles tonight. Defensemen will have troubles, but he made 4 major mistakes on grade A chances against, which is a really high number at even strength for a defenseman in a game. And it started off there, and there was a couple kind of bad ones. In that context, he started off the game and he made a bad turnover, um, passing the puck diagonally out of his own zone. It got picked off in the neutral zone. Vegas rushes in, gets a shot on net, which McDavid stabs out to the point. Hyman can't block the outside shot, and it gets deflected in. So that was Keith's turnover that kicks, off that sequence of pain, gets them down 1-0 in the first. Later in the first, he has a bad sequence where they're breaking out of their zone, and McDavid's coming back, and suddenly Keith decides to jump up in the play. This is where he got a little aggressive. I think he can do this a little bit, get above the play now and then, because he wants to join, be an offensive player. Anyway, he or be aggressive defensively. He went for the guy in the neutral zone, and he got out of position, and he got passed around him, and then there's a 2-on-1 with CC back, and there was a grade A chance out of that. So that was a kind of an unforced error. That play was going nowhere until he decided to force it in the neutral zone and created the 2-on-1 situation. Shortly thereafter, just 14 seconds later, he and McDavid they allowed a pass into the slot, and there's another grade A shot. Then in the third period, at the end of the second period, Fogle turns it over in the Oilers zone, shoots it up the boards. It gets stopped, and Keith again is a little high on the play. This is it's kind of a bang bang play, but he lost a battle on the boards, and Peyton Krebs takes it in the slot for a grade A chance. So that's a high number of mistakes for an NHL defenseman. You sure don't want to see that every game, because that means you can't play in the top four. You can make one or two mistakes on average, but you can't make 3 or 4. So a pretty rough night on defense for Duncan Keith. Oh, I can't hear you, Bruce. Suddenly,
he made a better door than a window on the 2-2 goal as well. That he was trying to jump in front of, I think, the shot. The guy deflected it out of the air and under Keith's feet, and Koskinen never saw it. Bounced, deflected out of the air off the ice and through him. And I don't think his D-man was much help to him there.
Oh yeah, I see in the scoring chance. I didn't see that initially. You've added that in. I didn't see that. So that maybe it's 5, right? Like if you're.
No, I just thought after the game, I rewatched all the goals and I went, oh yeah, that was a big part of that one. So watch it again and see if you agree. But
yeah,
I thought it was a factor.
Who scored that one? What was okay? Fogle.
That was a tip from right in front by Nolan Patrick, where he won the draw, and like 3 seconds later it was in the net.
And he screened the goal. Yeah, okay, for sure.
Keith screened the goal. Yeah.
All right, we're moving on to the numbers section.
Yeah.
What's your number?
Yeah. Well, out of all the 5-on-5 play that Vegas kind of dominated with 60% of the shot attempts and 61% of the shots and 60% of the scoring chances. But one kind of jumped out at me, and this is off of the face-off summary. And this is the zone face-offs, where Edmonton had 14 face-offs in Vegas territory in the entire game, and Vegas had 34 face-offs in Edmonton territory in the game, 14-34. And it seemed like, partly it's score effects, Vegas pushing, pressing, Koskinen freezing pucks, Oilers icing pucks. But it seemed like the whole third period they were taking face-offs in their own zone. And every time they lost one, it seemed like Vegas got a shot on net within about 3 to 5 seconds, including 2 of their goals. It was a factor in the game. And Edmonton did win 17 out of the 34. So it's not like they were getting crushed. And thankfully they got the big diesel, Leon Draisaitl, tonight, 16 for 23 for 70% on the dot. Yet another fine game from Leon, and he was 10 for 16 in the defensive zone. But Derek Ryan was only 2 for 8. And it's one thing I've noticed about Ryan, like he's got good numbers on the face-off circle, but in the defensive zone, he doesn't seem to be that strong. Or at least maybe that's just the way the dice have rolled this early in the season. But he seems to, on the penalty kill or at 5-on-5, struggle to win draws in the defensive zone. So something to watch for. But not as a team, there just were too many face-offs in the defensive zone. 34 is a lot of face-offs. And
that is a lot.
When you have your goalie, he's got to line up for 34 face-offs. He's facing 39 shots, 72 shot attempts. that is a hard working night for your netminder. And uh, I guess you can say, it didn't kill him, so it made him stronger, maybe. But I would like to have seen the game a little bit, the 5-on-5 game. I mean, the special teams, Edmonton, you could say they won that game on special teams too, because the power play got a goal and the penalty kill didn't give one up despite a lengthy 3-on-5. So uh, the special teams is a big difference maker for Edmonton. It was again tonight, but 5-on-5, I would say they were fortunate to come out with 3 goals each way in the 5-on-5 tonight.
My number, Bruce, is 5 out of 15. The Oilers have 5 of the top 15 scorers in the NHL right now. Connor McDavid, number 1, 13 points in 5 games. Leon Draisaitl, number 2, 11 points in 5 games. Jesse Puljujärvi, number 6, 8 points in 5 games. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 7 points in 5 games, and Zach Hyman, 6 points in 5 games.
Wow.
So this is Back to the Future. This is what we saw in the 80s, with this kind of incredible attacking team. Bouchard took his first game with Nurse up front. That pairing was really strong. They, the other pairs had a lot of mistakes on defense. Nurse and Bouchard did not. Nurse had a clean sheet. So, and the big three, McDavid with 11 grade A in major contributions to 11 grade A chances, Draisaitl 11, and Nuge 10. We're just seeing these players, the Oilers' best players are dominating this league right now, and they've got a little bit more depth, with Hyman here, with Nuge playing his A game, with Nurse taking a step up from playing, to playing consistent A games. This is a different team than in the past, and that's why they're winning games like this that in the past they would have lost.
Yeah, of course, many of those chances came on the power play.
Yeah.
Looks like the Oilers had 9 grade A chances in 3 minutes on the power play. 9 grade A chances. They had 18 in the entire game. Half of them came in the 3 minutes they had the man advantage. And Draisaitl looks like was in on all 9 of them, and McDavid on 8, and Nuge on maybe 6. I haven't got them up, but anyway, the 3 of them they work so well together on that 5 on that odd man advantage. They find the open man and create a chance, and they do it consistently, and it's fabulous to watch.
One thing I noticed, Bruce, is like they've cracked down on cross-check in the NHL. They're starting to allow a lot of interference. I noticed a lot of like dumping it on the forecheck, and both teams were doing this, blocking players coming in. So we'll see if that trend continues, where they crack down on the cross-checking, but they allow the game to get bogged down and slowed down by tackling players, increasingly allowing that kind of blocking and tackling of players coming in. I didn't see tackling. I did see blocking though, quite a bit, and Nurse did some of it, and so did the Vegas players. So that's my final thought. So the next game's not till. Go ahead.
On the bright side, McDavid drew a penalty tonight. His first of the season. His first since last regular season, having gone 0 for the playoffs and 0 for the first 4 games this year. The refs, and I'm going to give a shout out to referee Steve Kazari, who played his 1000th game tonight. That's quite a feat. But the refs actually detected a foul on McDavid, and good on them. May there be many more.
I haven't noticed McDavid getting mugged though this year. Like honestly, like it hasn't been as constant. So.
Well, that's good. Maybe they're letting him skate free, and he's just scoring more points. But
that's what will happen, right? If you let McDavid attack, you'll have you could see someone get 200 points in the NHL. If you let him get mugged and hacked and cross-checked, you'll see him score 120. So you pick NHL what you want. You want to have a record, that excitement around that kind of a great attacker again, like you had with Gretzky, or do you want to have a duller, dulled down league because you allow fouling constantly and don't let the superstars play. It's their choice.
Yeah. Well, I won't count this as a number because I already did that, but this was the fourth game in a row Edmonton scored 5+ goals. And it was also the fourth game in a row where Edmonton scored the most goals or tied for the most goals of any team in the league that night that they played. And three of those nights, there was more than 10 games being played around the league, and the Oilers had the most goals each night, and they did it again tonight. So it's that offensive machine. It's starting to get in gear. It's early, and we'll see what happens when they start playing some of the more hardcore defensive teams out there. But they're racking up the goals and points and the wins. 5-0, their first team in the NHL to get to 10 points.
I'm gonna love it if the Oilers. It'll be there's gonna be quite embittering for all these people who hate the Oilers out there. There's lots of people who do not like the Oilers, and it'll be kind of sweet to see them have to suck it up if the Oilers keep winning like this. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, we've been taking slings and arrows from those people for a good 15 years now, so
That's true, Bruce.
I'm about ready for a little shoe on the other foot, aren't you?
Turnabout is fair play. All right, Bruce. Thanks for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast. Bye now.